Okay, this video tutorial looks at the mathematical strand of linear and nonlinear relationships, and more specifically we're going to focus on determining the distance between 2 points on a Cartesian plane. So in order to determine the distance between 2 points, we need to understand the distance formula. Now the distance formula is down here in our green box. Alright, so the distance from A to B, where A is our first coordinate, so x1, y1, and B is our second coordinate of x2, y2. Alright, we then find that the distance between A and B is the square root of the change in the x values, all squared, plus the change in the y values, all squared. Alright, so remember that x2 take x1 is the change of the x value, and y2 take y1 is the change of the y value. And hopefully you will notice that this formula is very similar to Pythagoras of c squared equals a squared plus b squared, or c, which in this case is our ab, is equal to the square root of a squared plus b squared, where a squared is the change in our value of x, and b squared is the change in the value of y. So using that formula, well, how do we calculate the distance between 2 points? All right. Here's our example. We have a point A, so A over here, which is -7, 2, and we have point B, which is here, which is 2, 8. Therefore, the point of AB must equal the square root of x2 take x1 all squared plus y2 take y1 all squared. And remember that x1 and y1 are the x and y coordinates of our first point, and x2 and y2 are the x and y coordinates of our second point. So this becomes the square root of x2, which is 2, take x1, which is -7 all squared, plus y2, which is 8, take y1, which is 2, all squared. This then becomes the square root of 2, take -7 is 2 plus 7, which is 9 squared, plus 8 take 2 is 6 squared, which becomes the square root of 81 plus 36. Now 81 plus 36 is 117, so the length would be the square root of 117. Okay, so here's some more example questions. We're going to find the distance between A and B, and then C and D. So A is our point here, which is 5, 6. B is our point here, which is -4, 2. C, our point for C, is 6 minus 3. And D is this point here, which is -2, 6. So we'll work out the distance from A to B first, remembering A is going to be our x1, y1, and B is our x2, y2. C will be our x1, y1, and D will be our x2, y2. Alright, remember that the first point that's named is always your x1 and y1, and the second point that is named is always your x2 and y2. So, distance from A to B, is equal to the square root of x2 take x1 all squared plus y2 take y1 all squared, which is equal to x2 in this particular case is -4, and we're going to take away x1, which is 5, plus our y2, which is 2, take away our y1, which is 6, all squared. This becomes the square root, -4 take 5 is -9, all squared, plus 2 take 6 is -4, all squared, which becomes the square root of 9 squared, or -9 times -9, which is 81, plus -4 times -4 is 16. Therefore, this is going to be the square root of 97. If we're going to do C and D, we're going to do the exact same thing. x2 take x1, oops, that's a bad x, let's rub that out, rewrite it again, take x1 all squared plus y2 take y1 all squared. That's going to be the square root of x2 in this particular case is minus 2, and we're going to take away 6 all squared plus y2, which is 6, take negative 3 all squared. This becomes the square root, negative 2 take 6 is negative 8, plus 6 take away negative 3 is 6 plus 3, which becomes 9 all squared. Therefore, this equals the square root of 64 plus 81, which is the square root of 145. Okay, I'd now like you to have a go at some practice questions. We're essentially just finding the distance between these points. Please feel free to pause the video, find the distance between them. Once you think you've got the correct answer, we'll continue the video and we'll go through and see how you went. Okay, so let's see how you went. Remember that the coordinates of our first point are always x1, y1, and the coordinates of our second point are always x2, y2. So let me just put that in. And we're going to find out the distance from A to B here is the square root of x2 take x1 all squared plus y2 take y1 all squared. This becomes 2 take away 1 all squared plus 6 take away 3 all squared, which becomes the square root of 1 squared plus 3 squared. Now 1 squared is 1, 3 squared is 9, so 1 plus 9 is 10. The answers for our second one, square root of x2 take x1 all squared plus y2 take y1 all squared is equal to the square root of negative 4 take away minus 2 all squared plus 7 take negative 3 all squared, which is going to be the square root of minus 4 take negative 2 is plus 2, which is minus 2 all squared, plus 7 take negative 3 is plus 3, which is 10 all squared. This becomes the square root of 4 plus 100, and our answer is the square root of 104.